everyone. It's Enjoy English School. Yo, it's March 3rd. We're on pages 10 and 11. It is the second day of our Enjoy English magazine. So that means we're on day 2 of the book club. And our book this month is called The Witchstone, a unique mix of horror and humor.
没错，我们今天要跟大家继续来介绍我们昨天介绍过的《我的工作是恶魔》这本书。我们昨天简单的讲了一下，哈，这个里面的主角呢是 Laszlo， 一个800岁的这个恶魔。他基本上呢是属于那种懒懒散散啊，不想好好工作的人。结果后来呢，没有办法发现说，原来他们的公司呢开始疯狂裁员，他就必须要把业绩冲上来。所以到后来，他必须要去解决他自己掌管的这个 Drakeford 家族，哈，那 Drakeford 家族里面有一个这个叫玛姬的，也是我们另外一个重要的主角哦。那他的话呢，就跟他2个人一起要去解决这个，在6天之内要解决这个诅咒的问题。就殊不知在解决过程当中呢，居然发现到一个惊天秘密，就会影响到地狱之王惊天秘密。他们2个要怎么合作呢？好，这是我们昨天介绍的主题。那我们今天要介绍一下跟我们的作者有关的事情哦。
Let's hear our story, and we'll be right back.
The Witchstone. Henry Neff is an American author best known for The Tapestry, a 5-book fantasy series for young adults. Blending history and folklore, the series offers stories that are both imaginative and memorable. The Witchstone is Neff's 7th novel and is written primarily for older teens and adults. While it introduces darker elements of horror, The Witchstone still keeps the playfulness of his earlier work. Neff grew up in Chicago and enjoyed a typical happy childhood. He later moved to California, where he lived for 10 years and taught history and fine art in high school. He now lives in New Jersey with his wife, 2 sons, and 2 rescue dogs, working full-time as a writer. Since Neff's parents were art historians, Neff was raised in a home filled with unusual books, surrealist paintings, and piles of comic books. This environment helped Neff develop an active imagination from a young age. In addition to writing, he is also a skilled artist and creates hand-drawn ink illustrations for his novels. With several projects in the works, fans can look forward to more creative stories from this talented writer in the years ahead.
Okay, friends, we're back on pages 10 and 11. As always, pick up your pencil and write things down in your magazine. Do you know how I use my Enjoy magazine?
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of check marks.
Oh.
Because today I'll study a little, tomorrow I can't, and Wednesday I have free time. And if I don't write check marks and write things down in my magazine, I forget where I am and I relearn things. I'm like, what am I doing? Mm. So I think it's very important you write down in your magazine. I do it too. So should you. Henry Neff is an American author best known for The Tapestry, a 5-book fantasy series for young adults.
好，我们来看第一段的第一句话哦，他就告诉我们这个作者的名字 Henry Neff 啊，是这个作者的名字 is an American author， 他是美国的作家 ，best known for The Tapestry 哦，他有一个最有名、大家最耳熟能详的作品叫做挂毯 Tapestry， 它本身是 a 5-book fantasy series。For young adults， 它呢是一个5部的一整套作品，有5部的奇幻系列小说哦。
So, remember a long time ago, I asked you, how do you say like 三部曲 in English? A trilogy. We talked a lot about trilogies at the book club. So I said, Anthony, I need to learn this word. And you taught me a trilogy, T-R-I, that means 3. How do you say a 5-book fantasy series?
哦，好问题耶。
五部曲。
五部曲 ，Yeah， 五部曲吧。
All right, a 5-book fantasy series. Don't say 5 books fantasy series. Just like yesterday, we said, don't say 800 years old. That's wrong. And 19 years old is wrong. 这边一直不可以加 s. Also, the word author uses that or. Last lesson, we learned horror, J-O-R, humor, J-O-R. Now today we have author, and the family is known as the Drakeford curse. 全部都是 O-R. Oh my goodness. So a tapestry is a big rug with like pictures sewed into it. A long time ago, most people couldn't read. So if you wanted to tell a famous story, books were very expensive and people were illiterate, 文盲. So they would sew big rugs with stories on them and hang them on the wall.
哦，原来有点像壁画的概念，所以以前的时候书很贵，对不对？好，就基本上书是很稀有的，而且写很多人也看不懂文字，好，是文盲 illiterate。那所以到后来他们很多把一些那种有名的故事啊，把它用这个编织的方式编成挂毯，很大的挂毯，然后挂在自己家里的墙上，有点像是那种壁画的感觉。那个东西叫做 the tapestry。
Okay, let's continue. Blending, that means mixing, adding history and folklore. The series offers stories that are both imaginative and memorable or memorable. O-R, oh my goodness, another O-R. 写下来, 写下来. When we have something that is memorable, that means it is easy to remember. Imaginative means it is creative. 请圈起来 imaginative. We will see imagination in paragraph 3.
Yeah， 没错，在这一句里面呢，还有几个重要的词汇，老师刚刚点到了。第一个呢，当然就是这个 imaginative， 它是来自于这个字 imagine， 好 ，imagine there's no heaven， 噔噔噔噔，OK，imagine 这个字的话就是想象，对不对？好，在 imaginative 就是这个人很有想象力，好。And memorable 这个字来自于 memory, memorize 就是记得。So when you say something that is memorable, it's easy for you to remember， 容易记得的。所以整句话说 blending history and folklore， 它本身呢是融合了历史跟民间的传说。The series offers stories， 好，它就有很多的故事 that are both imaginative， 很富有想象力，而且呢很容易记得，令人难忘的故事。
So folk is a German word that means people. You guys maybe know VW cars, Volkswagen. The Volk and folk, it's the same word. It just means people. Lore is a story that most people used to believe was true. And maybe you tell kids these stories. Think about the rabbit on the moon. That's folklore.
啊，所以我们就是那种天上的玉兔，有没有啊？那就是 folklore， 就是我们说的这种民间的传说。
The Witchstone is Neff's 7th novel and is written primarily, that means mostly, for older teens and adults.
好，我们来看下一句话。所以我们今天看到的这个作品，我的工作室恶魔的 The Witchstone is Neff's 7th， 好，是第7部作品 7th novel。And is written primarily， 最主要是为了谁写的呢 ？For older teens and adults， 是给这种比较大一点的这种青少年，还有呢成人，因为它可能内容比较黑暗一点点，里面有牵涉到类似像是上班一样的那种心情，有没有哈？所以到后来的话，其实很多成年读者应该很有感觉。
Now be careful, don't say write in here. That's wrong. But 老师这个有 I 什么 E， 没错。But we had 2 T's. And if you listen to Anthony and I regularly, you know that when you see that double letter, like a TT or NN or DD, it's telling you 前面的母音, it's duanda. It's a short vowel written. Now, 小心当然有意外，尤其是开头 that A or E can be a little weird. But if we're in the middle and we got 2 T's or 2 P's or whatever, that's a short vowel written. 不是 written.
哎，没错，要特别小心这个发音哦，所以是 write, wrote, written 啊，小心。
Here we go. While it introduces darker elements or parts of horror, the Witchstone still keeps the playfulness of his earlier work.
好，所以我们来看这边这句话，他说 while， 你看到 while 就知道说他有2件事要讲，而且这2件事有点对比的感觉。While it introduces darker elements of horror， 虽然呢它里面有开始引入了比较恐怖的这种黑暗一点的元素。Elements 就是 parts， 老师刚刚讲的，就是有一些元素、一些部分。好呢 ，The Witchstone， 我们这个作品 still keeps the playfulness of his earlier work。这个 playfulness 就是那种诙谐、有趣、轻松一点点那种感觉。这个后面他提到的 his earlier work， 这个 work 的话就是他的作品哦，还能保有，在这部作品里面还保有前面几部作品那种轻松、有趣、诙谐的感觉，所以它是有点恐怖。但是又有点好笑，有点 comic relief 这种东西。
Yeah, that's a great word. Okay, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we got paragraph 2. Okay, friends, welcome back to Enjoy English School. We're on pages 10 and 11. We are talking about the Witchstone, and let's look at paragraph 2. Neff, our author, grew up in Chicago and enjoyed a typical happy childhood. Now, yesterday we used a word unconventional. I want you to bat out the un and just look at conventional. Conventional and typical just mean usual or normal. But write that word down so we can kind of remind ourselves of yesterday's vocabulary.
没错，在这个地方我们不妨可以把昨天学过的这个 unconventional 前面那个 un 拿掉，然后把 conventional 拉过来写在 typical 的上面。那个这个地方你会看到 typical or conventional. That means it's usual.
We should also say 那个 what is the opposite of typical? Atypical 前面加一个 a。
没错，在如果说加一个 a 的话，就是 not 的意思，在这边要特别小心哦。所以这边的话，你可以学到说typical， 好，它就是典型的、一般的，你也可以用 conventional。如果说今天本来讲到不一般的时候，你可以在那个 conventional 前面加上 un， 变成 unconventional。那在这个地方 typical 可以前面加一个 atypical 就是指这种非典型的。我们来看一下第一句话，他说 Neff grew up in Chicago。and enjoyed a typical happy childhood. 那他呢是在芝加哥长大的。那我们的作者他拥有一个非常典型的而且很快乐的童年。
Okay, be careful of this verb enjoy. Number 1, enjoy 后面一定要 ing. 如果你加 verb 的话 you can't say enjoy to watch TV. That's wrong. You must say enjoy watching TV. Number 2, enjoy is really weird because 你不要去 y at all. 你要加 s, enjoy z.不要去 y 加 ies. If you want to say enjoying, 当然你不可以去 y 再加 ing. And the past tense and the past participle 都是这个 enjoyed. So it's enjoy, enjoys, enjoying, enjoyed, enjoyed.
那个 y 一直都在哦。
一直都 y. That's right. That's a weird one. Okay. He later moved to California, where he lived for 10 years and taught history and fine art in high school. When we talk about fine art, that means like the history of famous art. You think about Mona Lisa or something. That's fine art.
Yeah, fine art 就是指美术的意思。所以我们看一看啊，他是从小在芝加哥长大嘛，童年过得很快乐。然后他就说了 ，He later moved to California， 他就搬到了这个加州 ，where he lived for 10 years， 他在那边住了10年 ，and taught history and fine art in high school， 就在这个高中呢教授这个历史跟美术这2个科目。
He now lives in New Jersey with his wife, 2 sons, and 2 rescue dogs, working full-time as a writer. So he's not a history teacher and a fine art teacher because that's a very busy job. And he has 2 rescue dogs. That means these 2 dogs were someone had them and didn't want them. And so he took those dogs. Some people would say adopt, don't shop. And when you have a full-time job, this means this is your main job.
Yeah， 没错，所以老师刚刚解释了几个重要的字词，其中包括了像是 rescue dogs。rescue 本来是拯救的意思，那所以说，如果今天有人呢养了狗，突然间就不要这个狗，把它丢掉了，或等等，你把它收容起来，好，就变成是 rescue dog， 用那个 rescue 跟 dog 搭配。老师刚刚有提到另外一个说法是那个 adopt。 Don't shop 就是指用这个领养来代替购买。Adopt 的拼法是 ADOPT。Adopt a dog 就是指领养一条狗。另外呢，他提到 working full time 指的是全职。原本的话还是在教书嘛，而且老师刚刚提到说教这个历史教什么很辛苦。老师是有个人的经验，所以他知道那有多累。那到他要认真写作的话，就必须要全职的工作，所以他会告诉你说 working full time as a writer。到那个后来他搬到了纽泽西之后呢，他跟他的妻子还有2个孩子还有2只可爱的狗狗住在一起，然后呢开始当作家，全职在写作。
I wonder where where he'd like to live the most. Chicago is in the middle. It's a very big city. California is on the West Coast, and now New Jersey is on the East Coast. He's lived all over America in big cities, it seems like.
没错，感觉上你看他从芝加哥是比较在中间，美国中部这个地方，然后呢之后搬到加州是在西部，然后之后呢又搬到纽泽西是在美国的东部。不晓得他到底会喜欢住在哪个地方哦。
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we got paragraph 3. Hey friends, welcome back to Enjoy English School. We're talking about the witch stone. Let's begin paragraph 3. Oh, you need your pencils for this paragraph. Get your pencils ready, everybody. Since Neff's parents were art historians, Neff was raised in a home filled with unusual books, surrealist paintings, and piles of comic books. So we know Neff taught history and fine art. His parents were art historians. And we need to underline IAN. IAN is a lot like the ER. So teacher, it's a verb and it becomes a noun. A historian, there means it's a person that does this thing. And there are lots of words that use IAN. Christian, mathematician, musician, librarian, pedestrian, and I thought guardians of the galaxy.
Right.
That's a lot to translate, buddy. I'll help you if you
没
need.
错 ，yes， 没有错。好，我来看一下他这个地方，老师刚刚提到这个 art historian。Historian 指的是历史学家，然后老师希望你们特别把 IAN 这个结尾把它圈起来。那圈起来这个地方，其实就像我们提到这个 author 一样，在讲人。好，老师刚刚就举了非常非常多的这个例子，然后其中我印象最深刻就是最后举的例子 ，Guardians of the Galaxy， 就是这个我们常星际义工队。好，在这里的话，你有看到其他的一些这种 mathematician， 好， librarian 图书馆员等等，都是这个 IAN 结尾的当人的意思。那我们来看一下这句话，他说 since 就是 because 的意思，在这个地方指的是因为。因为呢，我们这个作者 Neff 他的爸爸妈妈呢，刚好都是艺术史的这种艺术史学家，所以呢 ，Neff was raised in a home， 还是在这个成长的环境之中 ，filled with unusual books， 各式各样奇妙的书籍 ，surrealist paintings， 好像超现实主义的绘画啦 ，and piles of comic books. It sounds like heaven to me.
It sounds. I bet you their house smelled like nice old books. So when I worked in the history department at my university, my favorite part was going to their floor. It was very high. And when the elevator opened, the history department just smelled like old books.
Wow.
I can smell it now. I just love that smell of old books.
有意思哎，就变成是老师到后来就是他在那个工作的地方呢，那个大学他如果到了这个图书馆，他的那个部门里头，你那个电梯一打开，你就可以感觉到那个古色古香的那种书的那种味道就这样迎面扑过来，然后感觉到哇，他现在老师回想起来都还可以觉得哇，那种古书的那种味道感觉很棒。
Very happy feeling to think about that. Now, a pile means a mountain of something. Piles of garbage, piles of money, piles of comic books, all big mountains of things.
Yeah.
This environment helped Neff develop an active imagination, 圈起来, from a young age. Now, imagination, T-I-O-N, that is the noun form of that's the noun form of imaginative we circled in paragraph 1. you can draw a line from imaginative to imagination.
没错，所以我们在第一段的时候就看到那个字 imaginative， 在这边又碰到了 imagination。其实这两个字呢都是来自于 imagine， 好，就是想象的意思。在这边的话指的是想象力 imagination。所以这句话他说 ，This environment helped Neff， 啊，这样的成长环境帮助了我们作者 Neff， 好 ，develop an active imagination， 好，让他有机会去培养这种非常非常活跃的这种想象力。From a young age， 就是在从小就开始培养灵活想象力，看这些书籍啊，看这些超现实的绘画啊等等，哇，这个想象力大迸发。
Okay, let's continue. In addition to writing, he is also a skilled artist and creates hand-drawn ink illustrations, that's a drawing, for his novels. With several projects in the works, fans can look forward to more creative stories from this talented writer in the years ahead.
好，我们来看一下这个地方哦，这两句话它里面提到几个重要的字词汇呢，其中包括像 illustrations 指的就是插画，如果你提到是 hand-drawn ink illustration， 就是自己手绘的这种墨水插图，哇，所以自己创造作品还自己画插图，真的很厉害。所以这个地方你看到 in addition to writing， 啊，除了自己写作之外呢，他呢本身也是非常厉害的这个画师哦，也会自己去画出这些插图等等。然后第二句呢讲说，With several projects in the works， 啊，记得这个 work 啊后面加上这个 s， 因为它讲的是作品，有好几个这个多项作品呢在筹备当中。Fans can look forward to 就是能期待，这个 to 是介系词，所以后面要接名词或 VING。Can look forward to more creative stories from this talented writer。Talented 就是指多才多艺的，非常非常有才华的。In the years ahead， 就是在未来几年有更多更丰富的故事等着大家来看。
All right, well, that's it for this month's book club, but we'll be back later this month with even more. For Enjoy English School, I'm Chris Gorski.
I'm Anthony.
And we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.